Hey guys, it's Kid. Second day of VEDO. I'm very excited to show you guys what I've got planned for today. So basically, I'm going to read you scenes from a few novels that are favorites of mine. And yeah, I'm just going to be picking some favorite scenes, and I'm going to read the little blurbs on the back of them because I'm not really good with explaining a story without having read that. So we're just going to dive right in. The first book is called Rumble by Ellen Hopkins. The back of the book says, here's how it looks. Rumble. It reads like every page reads like a poem almost, so it's really cool in that way. It's a very heartbreaking story. The back says, Luke is gone forever. Hayden is a wild card. Mom and Dad are melting down completely. Every vestige of imagined stability in flux. What will happen to me now? Matthew Turner knows it doesn't get better. His younger brother Luke was bullied mercilessly after he was outed to the entire school. And when Luke called Matt on the brink of suicide, Matt was too wrapped up in his new girlfriend to answer the phone. Now Luke is gone, and Matt's family is falling apart. No matter what his girlfriend Hayden says about forgiveness, there's no way Matt's letting those he blames off the hook, including himself. As Matt spirals further into bitterness, he risks losing Hayden, the love of his life. But when her father begins to pressure the school board into banning books because of their homosexual content, he begins to wonder if he and Hayden ever had anything in common. Okay, this is page 427. It's a pretty long book, but this little passage, oh gosh, is called Slipping into Sleep, I believe. Yeah, Slipping into Sleep. I notice Luke's scent has faded from the pillow, which now smells a lot more like me. When Luke's clothes are in boxes and these sheets are washed and this bed is gone, every vestige of Luke will have vanished. The only thing left, memories. I reach into my collection. Find us again in the shade of that bridge discussing alternate evolutions. He was ever so much older than the sum of his birthdays. Maybe he was an alien after all. Maybe he did find his magic and then he was ready to go. So that's a little passage from Rumble by Ellen Hopkins. I encourage you to check it out. The guy is also, the main guy is struggling with his religious beliefs. I believe he wrote a term paper about it all, and it got like banned or something, and that's why they're fighting for the school board to ban books because of their content. And Matt wrote some stuff that wasn't too pleasing to the school, so he was dealing with the repercussions of that, and he didn't understand why. And it just all goes back to the death of his brother and how much he misses him. The second book is called Hold Me Closer, The Tiny Cooper Story, a musical by David Levithan. David Levithan wrote a book, and this is what it looks like. This is the second book to it, but he wrote one. It's over there, but I wanted to keep it short. It's called Will Grayson and Will Grayson. It's the first book, and it deals with homosexuality as well, and this is basically what this is about. One of the guys in it, Tiny, wrote a play for school, and this is that play come to life. You can't imagine how happy I was to see this on the shelf. I instantly had to have it. So yeah, this is from Hold Me Closer, The Tiny Cooper Story. This is the blurb of Hold Me Closer. Especially for those of us who ordinarily feel ignored. A spotlight is a circle of magic with the strength to draw us from the darkness of our everyday lives. Watch out, ex-boyfriends, and get out of the way, homophobic coaches. Tiny Cooper has something to say, and he's going to say it in song. filled with honesty, humor, and big, lively, belty musical numbers. Hold Me Closer is the no-holds-barred and mini-bars held entirety of the beloved musical first introduced in Will Grayson, Will Grayson, the award-winning bestseller by John Green and David Levithan. Tiny Cooper is finally taking center stage, and the world will never be the same again. On that note, the ghost of Oscar Wilde finishes his song, hopefully to more applause than he got toward the end of his life. Oscar to Tiny. Believe me, I understand all the modern distractions that you have, especially on your phones. I admire your fervent belief in the power of words to keep a connection going even when it's not there. But you only have so many words in your life, Tiny, and rather than giving them all away, you should keep some for yourself. Tiny, what do you mean? Oscar, reciting, not singing. Look forward to the moment when it all falls apart. Look forward to the moment when you must rearrange your heart. It might feel like the end of the world, but it's the beginning of your art. Tiny, texting? That's my art? Oscar, shaking his head. No, Tiny, words. Passion. The danger of falling in love is that you mistakenly believe the loved one is the only source of passion in your life. But there is passion everywhere. In music, in words, in the stories you tell, in the stories you see. Find your passion everywhere and share it widely. Don't narrow it down to one thin line. Tiny, but you don't choose to fall in love, do you? Don't you just fall? Oscar, you fall and you fall and you fall. There are things you cannot control, but that is why you must hold on to the things you can control. I will let you in on a secret, Tiny. Are you ready? Tiny, yes. Oscar, on the verge of disappearing, you think you're an actor, Tiny. We all think we are actors given our scripts. But really, you're the playwright. You're the composer. Before Tiny can ask any more questions, the ghost of Oscar Wilde has vanished just as strangely as he appeared. This book is called Two Girls Staring at the Ceiling by Lucy Frank. Basically, it's about, let me see if it has. This raw and gorgeous novel in verse will plunge you into the precarious world of illness, where summer love seems like a distant memory and the future is anything but certain. Doctor's voice too fast, too smooth, too jolly, hearty, way too close. I don't know this hard and tough language. Don't speak disease. It's about these two girls who are in a hospital. One of them has been there many, many, many times before. I believe her name is Chess. I might be mistaken though. But another girl comes there when she's been having some health problems, and this is like the end of the world for her. Like, she doesn't want anybody to visit her. She doesn't know. Like, she wanted to have this normal life, but she always has this pain that's right in her stomach, and it's just something that she continuously focuses on, like this pain. And then she ends up in the hospital by this girl who has been there for a long time. So eventually they have a conversation and end up having a connection of sorts. So this is page 27. This is for Peter. Again, as always. This is, okay, Shannon is the girl who has been there for a while, and Francesca is the one who just got there. And this is a story of how she was with a boy she liked at a party before she had to go to the hospital. Was it just last night, David said, would you be sad if our owl turned out to be a seagull? As we slid the boat into the lake and rowed to an island that turned out to be a rock barely big enough for two, said, how are we gonna get back from here? As we watched the boat drift off into the water lilies, said, do we care? Maybe. But not now, right? Said he wished he had his guitar, so he had something to do with his hands. Then we both talked too much, too fast, to talk away the awkwardness. Pointed out bogus constellations. Agreed we're so not party people. Only came, in fact, because his dad lives just down the road and my friends decided we needed to get out more. And I told him I wish I could drive a tractor and sell raspberries all summer. Not plug numbers into a spreadsheet at Mom's ex-boyfriend's accounting firm. And my mind leaped with summer things we'd do together, and though the breeze smelled like rain, the rock was rough and pointy, and the bugs were biting, I couldn't imagine ever being sad again. And by the time the thumping bass beats from the party faded, and lights winked out around the lake, pain nibbled at my belly, but his hands let me forget. We warmed each other against the night, and if the owl flew by, my eyes were too melted with his kisses to see. And when he said, I can't think of anything to say that isn't totally corny, I'd have answered, say it anyway. Except a boa constrictor was squeezing my breath away, a shark was ripping my insides, and I tried so hard to hold on. Not let him see, not let him know, not stop, not spoil. Hold on. Should have taken her to the doctor weeks ago. Kept her home last night, said you worked all day and your stomach's killing you, said whose party is this anyway, who do you even know in Hillsdale? Made her tell me what happened. I mean, no wallet, no phone, no underpants. Under the covers I hold my hand as if it's his. How bad could I have been if I remembered we needed to go back and get his guitar? This next book is called Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, a novel by Jesse Andrews. Yeah, two more. A novel by Jesse Andrews. This is what it looks like. It's very colorful. I found this after reading The Fault in Our Stars. A lot of you probably know about this book, but this one is a little bit different. It's about a girl who has cancer, leukemia, but there's a little bit of a different twist on it, and I found that very enjoyable and unique to read. So I'm gonna read. I'll read the back. Me. My name is Greg Gaines. I am 17. I'm the one who wrote this book. My physical appearance is unsatisfactory, and there's probably a fungus eating my brain. I'm not even sure I am a human. Earl. Earl Jackson is the only person who is even sort of my friend. We make mediocre films together. Werner Herzog is our biggest influence. Earl is generally filled with violent rage. Dying girl. During my senior year, my mom forced me to become friends with a girl who had cancer. This brought about the destruction of my entire life. So, I'm going to read the beginning of this book. To Shin Lee, which Benson is not. Sorry, I didn't mean to, I like reading those little parts sometimes. A note from Greg Gaines, author of this book. I have no idea how to write this stupid book. Oh, and also side note, excuse me if this book has a little bit of language in it. Some of them do, I think. But I know this one does for sure, if you ever want to, pick it up. I have no idea how to write this book. Can I just be honest with you for 1 second? This is the literal truth. When I first started writing this book, I tried to start it with the sentence, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. I genuinely thought that I could start the book that way. I just figured it's a classic book starting sentence, but then I couldn't even figure out how you were supposed to follow that up. I stared at the computer for an hour, and it was all I could do not to have a colossal freak out. In desperation, I tried messing with the punctuation and italicization, like it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. What the hell does that even mean? Why would you even think to do that? You wouldn't unless you had a fungus eating your brain, which I guess I probably have. The point is, I have no idea what I'm doing with this book, and the reason for that is I'm not a writer. I'm a filmmaker. So now you're probably asking yourself, why is this guy writing a book and not making a film? 2. Does it have to do with the brain fungus thing? Answer key. 1. I'm writing a book instead of making a film because I have retired from filmmaking forever. Specifically, I retired after making the worst film ever made. Usually the goal is to retire after making the best possible thing you can, or, even better, die. But I did the opposite. A brief outline of my career would look like this. 1. Many bad films. 2. A mediocre film. 3. Some okay films. 4. A decent film. 5. 2 or 3 good films. 6. A bunch of pretty great films. 7. The worst film ever made. Finn. How bad was that film? It killed someone. That's how bad it was. It caused an actual death. You'll see. 2. Let's just say it would explain a lot of things if there were a fungus eating my brain, although the fungus would have to have been eating my brain for basically my entire life. At this point, it's possible that the fungus has gotten bored and left, or died from malnutrition or something. I do actually want to say one other thing before we get started with this horrifyingly inane book. You may have already figured out that it's about a girl who had cancer, so there's a chance you're thinking, awesome, this is going to be a wise and insightful story about love and death and growing up. It is probably going to make me cry literally the entire time. I am so fired up right now. If that is an accurate representation of your thoughts, you should probably try to smush this book into a garbage disposal and then run away. Because here's the thing. I learned absolutely nothing from Rachel's leukemia. In fact, I probably became stupider about life because of the whole thing. I'm not really putting this very well. My point is this book contains precisely 0 important life lessons or little-known facts about love or sappy tear-jerking moments when we knew we had left our childhood behind for good or whatever. And unlike most books in which a girl gets cancer, there are definitely no sugary paradoxical single-sentence paragraphs that you're supposed to think are deep because they're in italics. I am probably further back. I don't know how much that changed. I gotta control this camera. Anyways, do you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about sentences like this. The cancer had taken her eyeballs, yet she saw the world with more clarity than ever before. Barth. Forget it. For me personally, things are in no way more meaningful because I got to know Rachel before she died. If anything, things are less meaningful, alright? So I guess we should start. I just realized that you may not know what fin means. It is a filmmaking term. Specifically, it is French for this movie is over, which is good because it probably confused the hell out of you because it was made by French people. Fin for real this time. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. Go check it out. This is the second to last book. It's called Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This is what it looks like. It's a pretty cool cover. I'll read the back to you, or the little blurb. 16-year-old and not so openly gay Simon Spear prefers to save his drama for the school musical. But when an email falls into the wrong hands, his secret is at risk of being thrust into the spotlight. Now Simon is actually being blackmailed. If he doesn't play wingman for class clown Martin, his sexual identity will become everyone's business. Worse, the privacy of Blue, the pen name of the boy he's been emailing with, will be jeopardized. As his email correspondence with Blue grows more flirtatious every day, Simon's junior year has suddenly gotten all kinds of complicated. Simon has to find a way to step out of his comfort zone before he's pushed out, without alienating his friends, compromising himself, or fumbling a shot at happiness with the most confusing, adorable guy he's ever met. If you like that little blurb that I just read and you want to pick this up and read it, do not listen to this reading because it will spoil the heck out of it for you. If you want to go check it out, it'll probably be in the bargain section. I got this for $9.99. It's an amazing book. Like, if you want to go check it out, that's cool. But what I'm about to, the little scene I'm about to read is going to spoil it. So I'll have the time right here to skip ahead to the last one if you want to do that. But this part is so beautiful that I just had to read it to you guys. Okay. This is a part where Simon, the main guy, is finally meeting Blue at a carnival, and Blue is a couple of hours late. But it's 8:30 and I still haven't found him, or he hasn't found me. It's hard to know what to think. He likes me. I mean, that's basically what the note said, but the note was written 2 weeks ago. It almost kills me. 2 weeks with the shirt under my freaking pillow, and I had no idea what was tucked away inside of it. The note. I know it's been said, but I'm a monumental idiot. I mean, in 2 weeks he could have changed his mind about me. The carnival shuts down in half an hour, and my friends have all gone home. I should go too. But I have another couple of tickets, so I blow most of them on Midway Games and save my last one for the Tilt-A-Whirl. I figure it's the last place I'll find Blue, so I've been avoiding it all night. There's no line at all. I walk straight onto the ride. The Tilt-A-Whirl has these metal pods with dome tops, and there's a metal wheel in the middle that you can turn to make your pod spin, and then the ride itself whirls around quickly, and the whole point is just to get you dizzy. Or maybe the point is to empty your head. I'm alone in my seat, with the seatbelt pulled as tight as I can make it, a couple of girls squeezing the pod next to mine, and the operator walks over to latch the gate. Almost all the other pods are empty. I lean back and shut my eyes. And then someone slides in beside me. Can I sit here? He asks, and my eyes snap open. It's cute Bram Greenfeld, of the soft eyes and soccer calves. I loosen the seatbelt to let him in, and I smile at him. It's impossible not to. I like your shirt, he says. He seems nervous. Thanks, I say. It's Elliot Smith. The operator reaches over us and pulls the guardrail down, locking us in. I know, says Bram. There's something in his voice. I turn to him slowly, and his eyes are wide and brown and totally open. There's this pause. We're still looking at each other, and there's this feeling in my stomach like a coil pulled taut. It's you, I say. I know I'm late, he says. Then there's a grinding noise and a jolt and a swell of music. Someone shrieks and then laughs, and the ride spins to life. Bram's eyes are clenched shut and his chin is locked down. He's perfectly silent. He cups his hand over his nose and mouth. I hold the metal wheel in place with both hands, but it keeps pulling into a clockwise rotation. It's like the ride wants to spin. And it spins and it spins. Sorry, he says. When it finally stops and his voice is stretched thin and his eyes are still closed, it's okay, I say. Are you okay? He nods and exhales and says, yeah, I will be. We step off the ride and make it to the curb, and he leans all the way forward, tucking his head between his knees. I settle in beside him, feeling awkward and jittery and almost drunk. I just got your email, he says. I was sure I was going to miss you. I can't believe it's you, I say. It's me, he says. His eyes slide open. You really didn't know? Not a clue, I say. I study his profile. He has these lips that meet just barely, like the slightest touch would coax them open. His ears are slightly big, and there are 2 freckles on his cheekbone, and his eyelashes are more dramatic than I've ever noticed. He turns toward me, and I look away quickly. I thought I was so obvious, he says. I shake my head. He stares straight ahead. I think I wanted you to know. Then why didn't you just tell me? Because, he says, and his voice sort of shakes, and I'm aching to touch him. Quite honestly, I've never wanted anything so badly in my life, because if you had been looking for it to be me, I think you would have guessed it yourself. I don't quite know how to respond to that. I don't know if it's true or not. But you never gave me clues, I say finally. I did, he says, smiling. My email address. Bluegreen118, I say. Bram Lewis Greenfeld. My birthday. Jesus, I'm an idiot. No, you're not, he says softly. But I am. I'm an idiot. I was looking for him to be Cal, and I guess I assumed that blue would be white. Which kind of makes me want to smack myself. White shouldn't be the default any more than straight should be the default. There shouldn't even be a default. I'm sorry, I say. For what? For not figuring it out? But it would be completely unfair for me to expect that, he says. You guessed it was me. Well, yeah, he says. He looks down. I kind of guessed a long time ago, except I thought maybe I was just seeing what I wanted to see. Seeing what he wanted to see. I think that Bram wanted it to be me. There's this twist in my stomach and my brain feels hazy. I clear my throat. I guess I should have shut up about who my English teacher was. It wouldn't have helped. Oh no? He smiles slightly and turns away. You sort of talk the way you write. No freaking way. I'm kind of hardcore grinning right now. In the distance, they begin shutting down the rides and turning off lights. There's something beautiful and eerie about a dark and unmoving Ferris wheel. Beyond the carnival, the lights turn off in the doorways of the department stores. I know my parents expect me to be home, but I scoot closer to Bram until our arms are almost touching and I can feel him twitch just slightly. Our pinky fingers are maybe an inch apart, and it's as if an invisible current runs between them. But how are you a president? I ask. What? The same first name as a former president? Oh, he says, Abraham. Oh. We're quiet for a moment. And I can't believe you wrote the Tilt-A-Whirl for me. I must really like you, he says. So I lean in toward him, and my heart is in my throat. I want to hold your hand, I say softly, because we're in public, because I don't know if he's out. So hold it, he says. And I do. The last book is quite possibly my favorite book. It's called I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. But yeah, those are my scene selections. I really hope you like them, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. Bye.